All right, so we'll continue our journey on building data-driven web application on AWS using AWS Cloud Services. So the use case that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build like a RSVP type web page where participants can go in, then they can share their availability, their skill level, things like that for a particular social event. This one I'm thinking of pickleball social. And so I'm going to use the AWS architecture here. So start with the end user, and we'll have fronting the website, and then we'll have the website hosted on S3 bucket, and then we'll have the request from that web page route to API gateway, which will then go to Lambda, and then Lambda will have code to update the DynamoDB. And then we can do some analytics just for our POC purposes from Power BI. So that is the full life cycle that I'm going to trying to build. In the last video, we built connectivity between API gateway and Lambda. We are going to extend to DynamoDB, and we'll also try to see if we can do in this video building up the web page and pushing it to S3 and then even CloudFront. So that's the idea behind this. So it'll be like a full end-to-end web application experience. We can of course build this using Claude Code also, and I'm going to try that in a future video as well. So continue to watch. Thank you. All right, so let's recap what we did in the last video. So in the last video, we created the Lambda function. So nothing, it just takes the event as it is sent through API gateway, and then it just prints the name from the event body. And this is the API gateway setup. So you pick your API gateway, and then you go to stages, and then you can find the invoke URL. And then you can use that invoke URL to invoke using Postman. So this is a web version of Postman. So you have post method here, and then this is the JSON that I'm going to send. So let's send it away. And just to look at the code, we are so on the Lambda code, we are only just returning back the status code 200 and printing the name saying you submitted this. So let's go ahead and run through Postman. So send through Postman. It's sending the request to the API gateway, and it's returned this, you submitted this. So that is what we built last time. Now what we want to build this time is to connect to DynamoDB to have code from Lambda push the data to DynamoDB. So what I have right now is I have a code that I'm going to use and copy paste here, but I'm going to copy paste the code that I generated using Claude Code. So let's copy here. So really quickly, just to explain what the code does, I'm going to quickly go through the code. So what the code does is there's a table definition here. We're using Boto 3. So table is called pickleball registration. So that will create soon. And then what it does is the event is sent through API gateway to this Lambda, and we are going to extract event ID. We are going to use registration ID, but it will be UUID. And then we'll extract event name, phone number, skill level, bring a friend, yes or no from the form, and then notes. And then this is just the time when there was registration made. So all this information is then put into the DynamoDB table, and then it returns the message indicating to the user that registration was successful. And in case if there is error, this is accept particular part, and where it will throw an error, and it will say internal server in case if there is a issue with adding data to DynamoDB, inserting data into DynamoDB. So that's what this code does. So now let's go ahead and create the DynamoDB table. So I'm going to pick the name of the table like this. Is this console home, and I'm going to right click, open a new tab, and I'm going to create a new DynamoDB table. And DynamoDB is AWS's flexible NoSQL database, which is scalable. And so we'll just go ahead to the table link here. We don't have any table right now, so we'll create a table here, and we'll name it pickleball registrations, and partition key will be the event ID. So we'll event ID, and sort key will put registration ID. Here I is uppercase, I is not uppercase here. and rest everything will leave as is, and then we'll just say create table. Okay, so it's in the creating state, but once the table is created, you can click on it and you can browse through data, things like that. You can you can look at what the partition key was, what the sorting key was, things like that, from where you can query the data. Okay, so it's created, so let's click on it. And so you can explore table items using this, and you also have partition key defined here, which is event id, and then the sort key is this. So we'll let this be as is, and now we have our code, which is pushing all this into DynamoDB. So let's deploy this code and see if it's working. Okay, so I'm deploying the Lambda function here. Okay, so successfully deployed. Now let's go ahead and test. So for test, we need, let's see if I, okay, so I already have event ID, name, phone number, skill level, bringing friend, yes, no, and then notes. And then I'm going to push this, run this test, and we'll see if it works. Click on test. It says successful, but it really gave an internal server. So I know what the error is. And has access denied. So we need to, so it's not the function that we created has permissions, is running under a role, and that role does not have access to be able to insert into DynamoDB. So let's go ahead and fix that. So let's go to configuration of the Lambda function, and then we can look at permissions. And so this is the role that is used when executing Lambda. So we're going to open that and give it permissions to be able to insert data into DynamoDB. Okay, let's go ahead and add permissions, and we'll add attach policies. So we'll just use existing roles just for simplicity and speed here. And let's look for, so DynamoDB. So let's select this Amazon DynamoDB full access with data pipeline side permissions. So permissions added. Now let's go ahead and retest. So let's go to test tab, and we can run the test again. All right, so you can see that after updating the permissions, now it is working fine. So it is, we are getting successful registration. If we test one more time, okay, it's working. Now let's go ahead and look into DynamoDB table if it's inserting there. So we have the DynamoDB table there. Now let's click on explore data items. Okay, so it showed two items that were added. So that is a good sign. So now we can see that data is coming from Lambda, and it's going into DynamoDB. Now let's go ahead and test via our Postman. So let's go ahead and take the test event here. So let's copy the test event. Now that plumbing from API gateway should already exist. So let's go ahead and go to Postman, and let's add it here. And instead of Rachel, let's just say John Smith. Okay, let's go ahead and click send. Okay, yes, so it did register and it showed everything that was submitted here. And let's go ahead and DynamoDB see if it created entry for John Smith. So let's go ahead and refresh here. So yes, it did create an entry. So now we have the plumbing all the way from API gateway to Lambda to DynamoDB. Now we just need to create a web page and host it in S3 so that we can call the API gateway from that web page. So stay tuned.